Hello everyone, my name is Alexis and welcome to class today. Make sure you have a journal and a writing utensil and 2 blocks for class today. Today's theme is centered around Ahimsa. We're going to begin in a standing position in Tadasana pose, so look down at your feet, make sure they're parallel, feet about hip width apart. Stack your hips over your ankles, your shoulders over your hips. Relax your shoulders away from your ears. Bring your left hand to your heart and your right hand on top of your left hand. Close your eyes and begin to breathe in and out through your nose. If you are unfamiliar with Ahimsa, Ahimsa is the first yama, and the yamas, there are 5 of them, are part of the 8 limbs of yoga as described in Patanjali's Yoga Sutras. The yamas are recommendations. Some would translate them as restrictions. They're basically 5 do not statements. They are recommendations of things that we should not do in our daily lives that ultimately make us better people. And Ahimsa is the first one, and Ahimsa means do no harm. This is translated a lot of ways, but for today's class, I want you to focus on how can you move in such a way as to do the least amount of harm to yourself. We're going to be moving through variations of planks and variations of sun salutations. I'm going to offer up lots of different options, and I want you to move through as many of the options as you can with me, and then I will give you some free time, and I want you to pick the one that brings you the least harm. And that's going to be different for everyone. So feel into your own body as you're standing here connecting to your breath. Give yourself one last little check-in. And then when you're ready, go ahead and open your eyes, and we're going to come to the front of our mats to begin. We're going to start with our sun salutations, feet hip width apart, and I'm going to work through 3 different versions of a sun salutation. They're each adapted for varying levels of difficulty, so move through them as you can with me. If one is too difficult, go back to the previous one. For this first one, inhale the arms up overhead, exhale the hands through heart center, hinge at the hips and fold forward. Inhale, lift up halfway, press the hands into the calves. And on your exhale, we're going to plant the hands on the mat and step the knees back to come into tabletop pose. If you can't do downward dog, if downward dog is inaccessible to you, we're going to come into puppy pose, which is basically the same stretch that you get in downward dog, but it's a lot kinder on the knees, the ankles, and the feet. So from tabletop pose, take a big step forward with the right hand, big step forward with the left hand, and lower your chest to the mat. Keep your core super engaged here. You're not completely collapsing through your spine. Imagine you can lift your belly button back to your spine, back to your low back, and then relax through the collarbones, almost as if your collarbones could spread apart a little bit. Inhale, lower the elbows to the mat and come forward into your Sphinx pose. Breathe nice and deep here, and then bring the hands underneath the shoulders. Press yourself back up into your tabletop pose, and from here, step one foot between the hands, the other foot between the hands to come back into your forward fold. Immediately inhale, lift up halfway, exhale, fold, roll all the way up to standing, lift the arms overhead, and exhale, hands to heart center. That is version 1 of your sun salutations. You can do that again, or you can follow me with this next version. Inhale the arms up overhead, exhale, fold forward. All our sun salutations start the same way. Inhale, lift up halfway, press the hands into the calves. Exhale, plant the hands, step the feet back into your high plank pose. This is probably going to start looking familiar to a lot of you. From here, lower the knees and then lower your torso down to the mat in one straight line. From here, press into the hands, lift up into your baby cobra, and you can also try lifting up without pressing into your hands and just using your low back. Lower yourself back down and then press yourself back up into downward facing dog. Take a couple deep breaths in and out in your downward facing dog here. Downward facing dog is mostly an upper body pose. So I want you to focus on pressing your sternum towards your thighs, more so than trying to reach your heels to the ground. On your next breath in, walk, step, or jump to the front of your mat, coming into your forward fold. Inhale, lift up halfway. All our sun salutations end the same way as well. And roll yourself up to standing, inhaling the arms up overhead. Exhale, hands to heart center. This is the third one. Inhale the arms up overhead. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, lift up halfway. This is where it begins to change. Exhale, plant the hands, step back into high plank pose. And if your shoulders are strong, you're feeling good, rock forward under the toes, lower yourself down into chaturanga, and then press yourself up into upward facing dog. Your hips don't touch the mat at all through that transition. And then press yourself back into your downward facing dog and breathe through your downward facing dog. And then walk forward to your forward fold. Inhale, lift up halfway, flat back. Exhale, fold, roll yourself all the way up to standing, arms overhead. Exhale, hands to heart center. We're going to do 3 more sun salutations. You get to pick. So I'm going to go through each version one more time. So here I'm going to be inhaling up, exhaling, folding, and working my way back through tabletop, puppy pose, and sphinx pose. But do whichever iteration works for you. This is free time. This is playtime. If you're not already moving through your sun salutations, begin moving through them. This is choose your own adventure. A very important part of any movement practice, but particularly yoga, is to understand what your body needs, understand what you need on a given day, and to not force ourselves to conform to boxes that maybe we don't fit into. Part of doing no harm is understanding ourselves. The more we can understand our bodies, the more we can treat ourselves with kindness, the better we'll feel within our bodies, the more space we'll feel within our bodies, and the more kind we'll be to ourselves. And the more kind we can be to ourselves, the more kindness we'll be able to give other people. And I truly believe that the more kindness we can give to ourselves and the more kindness we can give to others is ultimately what will make the world a better place. Keep moving through your sun salutations. I'm now moving through the second iteration through high plank, coming down into cobra from the mat. I love lifting up into cobra without my hands to build my strength in my upper back, my lower back. And remember, in each downward dog, if you are moving through downward dog today, press through the hands, almost as if you could jump into a handstand from downward dog. Downward dog is not a leg stretch, it is an upper body stretch. And if you haven't already, begin your third sun salutation. I'm moving through the most advanced version that I showed, so stepping back into plank, and then moving through chaturanga, upward facing dog, and pressing back into downward facing dog. Wherever you are, breathe and make your way back to tabletop pose. So if you're in downward dog, or if you were standing, come down into tabletop pose. And from here, we're going to work through some plank variations. And this is going to be the same process as in the sun salutations. I'm going to show you a couple different plank variations. Move to your level. If something is too complicated, if you find you can't breathe at any point, stop, back off. And if planks are too hard today, that's totally okay. Come and rest into a sphinx pose at any time. Now, if you want to come with me, we're going to come into a supported forearm plank first. So your knees are on the mat and your elbows are underneath your shoulders. You can stay here, engage your core, or if you want to challenge yourself, lift your knees off the mat to come into your full forearm plank. No matter where you are in any of these, imagine you can use your belly button to lift your internal organs back to your spine. You can come into a supported high plank, so wrists underneath the shoulders, belly button sucking back towards your spine, knees resting on the mat. This can be just as hard as full plank if you're doing it properly. If you are ready to move on, if you're feeling super strong today, come up into your full high plank. Wherever you are, find your plank variation, whichever one that you're wanting to engage with today. We're going to hold it, keep breathing, keep holding it, be as strong as you possibly can. Beautiful. And then lower your knees down to the mat. And we're going to come into a comfortable seated position. So If you want to prop yourself up on a block or a blanket, you can be kneeling, you can be cross-legged, whatever's most comfortable. I like to sit cross-legged and use my blocks as sort of a little yogic desk when I journal. Open up your journal to an empty page or your next entry, and I want you to journal on this idea of ahimsa. I have a couple journaling prompts for you. So this first one is, throughout these plank poses and these sun salutations, how did you speak to yourself internally? What kind of things did you say? Were you really encouraging with yourself? Did you say, this is where I am, this is what I'm doing, this is great? Or did you beat yourself up? Were you kind of thinking, well, geez, Alexis, I can't do full plank, so I'm not really doing it? Pay attention to how you were speaking to yourself in your mind as we went through those sun salutations and those planks. And I want to remind you, it doesn't matter if you did the most complicated sun salutation or the highest plank. What matters here is how true you were to what you needed. So journal on that. Just journal on what are the kinds of things you said to yourself. Pause your thoughts on that question. If you want to come back after class, you're more than welcome to. But the next prompt is, could I have been kinder? If yes, what can I do in the future to be kinder to myself in my yoga practice? And if no, if you were really wonderfully kind to yourself, describe how you were kind. Could you have been kinder to yourself throughout those sun salutations and planks? If yes, what can you do in the future in your yoga practice to be kinder to yourself? And if you were particularly kind to yourself, describe how you were kind to yourself so that you remember it and can keep implementing that kindness in your future practices. begin to finish your thought. You know, you can always come back to these journaling prompts. You can always play the video again to hear the prompts again. Set your journal aside. If you're using blocks as a desk like I was, set those aside. And we're going to finish our class today with a short loving kindness meditation. This is one of my favorite meditations to connect to an AHIMSA practice where we're focusing on do no harm, on kindness. And if you've never done one before, don't worry about it. I'm going to guide you through it. Close your eyes and begin to focus on your breath. Breathe in and out through the nose. And bring to mind someone that you love. This could be a partner, a parent, your best friend, a pet. Think of how you feel when you look at this person. Think about your affection and love and fondness for this person. And holding the picture of this person in your mind's eye, say to yourself, I wish you joy, health, and happiness. I wish you joy, health, and happiness. Next, bring to mind yourself. See yourself at your happiest. Feel yourself at your happiness. And again, say to yourself, I wish you joy, health, and happiness. With yourself, with you in your own mind's eye, I wish you joy, health, and happiness. Next, and this is where the meditation starts to get challenging, and that's okay. That's okay, stick with me. Bring to someone who you're fairly neutral on. Maybe it's a neighbor, a coworker, the checker at your local grocery store. Picture them in your mind's eye and say to them, I wish you joy, health, and happiness. I wish you joy, health, and happiness. And then finally, picture someone that you don't like. We all have a person who maybe we don't agree with, maybe we have a hard time around. Bring that person to mind and try and picture them at their happiest. And say to them in your mind's eye, I wish you joy, health, and happiness. I wish you joy, health, and happiness. If it doesn't feel true, that's okay. The purpose of this meditation is to practice being kinder, to practice AHIMSA. Release these images of the people in your mind. And imagine the whole world is in front of you, like a ball. Notice and take note of all the people, all the creatures, the animals and plants on this beautiful planet we call home. And say to that planet in front of you, I wish you joy, health, and happiness. I wish you joy, health, and happiness. Release the image of planet Earth in front of you and rest just for a couple moments in those feelings of joy, health, happiness, and kindness that you have extended to other people, other humans, other humanity. Come back to your breath, breathing in and out through the nose. Say thank you to yourself. You did good work today. Sometimes it is hard to be kind, especially to ourselves. The fact that you showed up for this class, that you moved through it with me, it's a beautiful, beautiful thing, and I'm so proud of you. On your next breath in, lift the arms up overhead, and exhale, pull the hands to heart center. And when you're ready, you can open the eyes. Thank you so much for doing this practice with me. If you enjoyed it, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. There's always more yoga coming your way. I will link my 8 Limbs of Yoga series below if you have any questions or want to know more. And until next time, have a lovely rest of your day. Bye for now.